We are still live from almost home here in Wrigleyville. We're shutting this bar down tonight.
Damn right.
With a lot of drinks. We are live here for the Briggs and Brown post-game show. Alex had
Briggs
some
and
Whoa, who?
Briggs and Woo.
Briggs
What
and
you mean?
Woo.
Exactly.
Come on now.
I see somebody a lot darker than me in that preview.
Don't you disrespect my guy.
Exactly.
Right?
Hey, Lance, I saw somebody with darkness in the preview.
Oh, man.
Right?
Come
I'm
on
a lot
now.
lighter than that.
Come on now.
We benched the defensive end, Alex Brown, and brought in the upgrade defense.
We sure did.
Oh!
We brought in. People don't know we brought in Dance Dance Revolution. Nobody knows about the robot.
The robot.
They saw who we had. Who? There it is. We was getting it. We was having a good old time.
Yes.
So we're gonna get into it. Lance Briggs here, gonna bring all his different thoughts here that we want. I know fans are excited to hear. Talk about the offense. Talk about the defense. Talk about the coaching. We're gonna get through it all. An abysmal, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss on a Hail Mary. Lance, have you ever experienced something like that in your career? Because that was just unbelievable to watch go down.
Absolutely. Shoot, we lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on a Hail Mary at halftime.
Oh, 2011, right?
A Hail Mary at halftime with Thomas Jones on the other end.
Yep.
And no other point was scored the rest of the game.
That was a tough one.
It was a tough one.
Yeah.
It was a tough one, but to me, that's tougher than at the very end of the game because you do a Hail Mary, you get the ball at halftime, you have a whole half, and you're literally 7 points away from at least tying the game, and you don't do it.
The one thing I can think of is 2013, last game of the season against Aaron Rodgers and them boys from Green Bay, and that last drive by them, right? Randall Cobb came open. And there was holding, there was this, that, but we lost the game on that last play right
jumped.
there.
You cannot jump in that blitz.
No.
It's a zero blitz. You cannot leave your
gotta
feet.
Keep the
you
edge.
have to. You got to keep the edge. Stay in your lane.
And there might have been holding on the final Hail Mary of the game. And at the end of the day, the Bears can't put themselves in a position for something like that to happen. But let me ask you, Lance, because all the talk now obviously is the Hail Mary play, but a specific number 29, Tyreek Stevenson on it. Have you seen the play and the vantage point from the fan in the stands yet? Because I want to. If you haven't,
no, I have not.
I want to show you this video.
Because when you see this,
for the fans,
mad,
obviously we can't share game footage on the screen, but I want to get your instant reaction to this. So this is the final play of the game. This is from a fan in the stands in Washington, and I want you to watch on the Hail Mary, Tyreek Stevenson at the bottom left corner, taunting the fans. If you look, the ball has been snapped for well over 5 to 10 seconds before Tyreek Stevenson engages into the play. I'll rewind it again. When you see this, Lance, what is your reaction to this?
Pull your head out of your ass. Head and ass.
Get it out of there.
Yes, that's in the wrong spot. Now with all of that being said,
and so I
think he's the guy behind him.
So
I think he's the guy.
That's what I'm saying.
So he ends up being the guy that tips it to Noah Brown.
Right. So if he was supposed to be the back safety, then this is an idiotic play. If he wasn't the back safety, then it's still an idiotic play because you're supposed to be batting it down.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be batting it down. Instead of waving to the crowd. Get yourself ready and prepare to end the game.
One play.
Yes.
One play and the game is over.
And it's
you
over.
win the game.
So Lance, if you're in the film room tomorrow and you see that as a veteran on the team and Tyreek Stevenson here in his second year, what are you saying to him? What do you expect him to say to you guys in that locker room?
I'm going to say, listen, this is not just to Tyreek Stevenson. This is to the entire team. No game is won or lost on one play. All right. There were a ton of opportunities that we had throughout this game that led to this moment. Yep. All right. There are things that we could have done defensively by taking the ball away and scoring during the game. Offensively, we had opportunities, then we didn't convert until the end of the fourth quarter. Okay. There were opportunities for us to for this game to not come down to a Hail Mary. It shouldn't come down to a Hail Mary. Okay. And so with that being said, don't be a doggone bonehead. All right. You played this game long enough. You know, like you're in a very important part of what we do. So when we're in this critical situation, we expect you to handle it professionally and be ready to give us the best chance to win.
Don't you think that's a market of coaching? Because I remember when I'm on the Bears, right? Especially young guy, second, third year. When I'm playing with you guys, Urlacher, you, Peanut, Tim Jennings, veteran guys, Pep. I just feel like something like that wouldn't have happened, right? In that situation. Do you think it's a little bit from the coaching or the lack of leadership? Because I feel like if that wouldn't happen when we played. I really don't think so. Something like that.
I can't. It's hard for me to argue with you on that.
Right?
It's hard for me to argue with you on that. You know, but with that being said, it's regardless of who's there. Like, there were players that came in, and there were unique players. I thought Martellus Bennett was a very unique player. I really love going one-on-ones with him in the physical in our physical live drills, because he was such a physical player. You know, I mean, he offered something different. But when it comes to these games, I think Tyreek Stevenson even though last year was his first year, I think he has been a veteran type of player that knows better. I think this game and what we saw today, because the Hail Mary not the only issue that he had.
Exactly.
He drew a penalty.
He poked a dude in the eye.
And so
that should have been his first tell to chill out.
Absolutely. Branch, I agree with you 100%. But the mistakes that he made today are mistakes that you see from young players.
Exactly.
That rooting up the crowd, getting up the crowd. You're in Washington, so you're razzing them up, whatever you want to say it, call it. Those are young guys do that.
Exactly.
Young guys do that. Guys that have been through it and been through it and been through it. They know, let me get myself in position.
Yep.
I'll do all of that stuff after we win this game.
Exactly. So what do you think the appropriate response from Eberflus or some of the coaching staff is in that type of situation? Because looking at it, right, I know you just saw the play, but it seems like he should have been the guy behind them. And I think he realized, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I messed up. I got to run over there.
I'm running over.
I think he's supposed to be the guy in the back. What do you think the appropriate response from Eberflus and the rest of the coaching staff is? In your opinion, let's keep it 100.
You got to drop some expletives.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're gonna drop some expletives.
Is it a thing where he's benched the next week, like starting out the game, like maybe he's not starting?
I don't know if I don't know if you need to bench him. I don't know of any situations where this has happened prior to this, where it's like, man, you're doing this every week.
Yeah.
You're doing this every week.
Yeah.
We need to, something has to be done.
Yeah.
You address this, you move on.
Yep.
You move on, you say, hey, listen, you are looked at as a leader on this team. You lead in your own way, but you are looked at as a leader. Act like one. All right, act like you know what you're supposed to do. Act like you got some doggone sense. My mom would always say that. Act like you got some doggone sense.
Yeah,
and so I think he'll get it.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, humility comes for us all, especially when you're a young buck. I've been a hothead as a young kid. I'm still a hothead as an old man, pushing 39 now. And so at the end of the day, he is a young guy, but he is a professional, and he's got to.
You're just a baby.
Now, I'm just a baby. I mean, we're not. None of us are as old as Mark Carman, but the point is, to me, this is a moment for you, Tyreek Stevenson. You're going to get dragged through the coals all week about it, and this is the moment to take accountability in the locker room. If you want to take it a step further and take accountability about it to the media, face it, own it, and change it.
Okay, I agree with that. If Tyreek Stevenson goes and he stands up in front of the team and he says, hey, listen, this is the part that I played in this game. There's got to be somebody else that stands up and say, hey, listen, he's not the only one. This is the part that I played in this game. Then somebody else, then somebody else, then somebody else. Like, this is a complete team effort. It is not. he screwed up on that play. Whether he was at safety or not, he wasn't where he's supposed to be.
Yep.
But he was where he was supposed to be for 4 quarters.
Yep.
Right.
4 quarters. Well, three quarters in a
he
play.
had 2 touchdown saving tackles earlier in the game.
Right. So it comes back to what I kind of said before. Like the game isn't won or lost on one play.
Yeah.
Okay. There were things that could have been done, and everybody has a hand in it. Everybody has a hand in it.
I agree with you on that, but I think there needs to be a precedent set, right? I think you have to sit him to be a starter, right? This next game, right? You put him in, let's say 1 play, right? Just to prove a point at that point that, hey, this stuff's not going to happen. And don't you think? Remember Tim
Corey,
Jennings?
what the hell are you going to take him out for 1 play? If you're going to sit him for a series.
Yeah.
You're not starting this week.
Well, and it would be bold because right now you do have Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker out with injury, and who knows if they're going to be available next Sunday. So even if you wanted to send a message, and that's the kind of coach you want to be if you're Matt Eberflus, now you're putting your secondary behind the 8 ball even more, and you're punishing the entire team and not just Tyreek Stevenson. So it's a layered decision, but some coaches would just say, hey, you're sitting this week, and that's just how it's
remember Tim Jennings, 2011.
Yes.
Remember Lovey and Rod sat him.
Yeah, you if you have a standard, you don't bend or break that standard because you're worried that the team is going to be hurt by it. The team's going to be hurt because of the decision that was made prior to the discipline.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to speak out of class here, but wasn't there something with DJ Moore, the nickel corner out of Vanderbilt, and something where Lovey had to have, I don't know, I know this has been a while with a recall, but I seem to remember a moment in DJ Moore's career when he was young where Lovey had to kind of address something with him. But it's been a while, so
Lovey loved him some DJ Moore.
I love DJ Moore.
That was his prodigal son.
That was his guy.
That was his prodigal son. Okay, he held him under his bosom. Okay, he caressed him. He made sure that he nourished him.
Lovey and McHale loved him.
Well, and I put you guys on the spot there. Maybe the chat can help me out, but I seem to recall a moment where Lovey had to give him a teaching moment as well. But again, this has been 15, 14, 10, 12 years since that moment. So at the end of the day, the point is, Tyreek Stevenson, you got to man up and own it and grow up a little bit. You're a young player. You got a long career ahead of you. You got a ton of talent, but he's going to be the focal point, and there's so many other things, and we're going to get into them now because we could talk about that play for an hour. Right. We can come back to the Hail Mary if you'd like, because there's responsibilities beyond that we can get into, whether it's sending pressure.
Why doesn't Montez Sweat not on the game in the most important play?
Why not 5? It's a 65-yard pass.
Montez Sweat, Darrell Taylor, and Austin Booker, 3 pass rushers that were not on the field.
TJ Edwards was doing a great job with the pressure all year.
Yes.
Right? Why not bring him?
You have Montez Sweat on the sideline against his old team.
That traded him away and said, I'm done with you.
After I gave you 6 sacks, after I led you to 6 sacks, you said,
you
don't want me. You said you don't want me.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I just didn't understand that.
No, I completely understand, and I know we're going to be getting into a lot of different things from coaching decisions on the goal line once again.
Yeah, Corey, I remember being on the field with Pep and Julius Peppers in
Carolina,
and he got his quiet moment.
Yep.
Big number 90. Big number 90.
Yeah.
Well,
you want that.
The Bears almost had a moment, and then the moment happened to them. But we're going to take a quick time out here to give some shout-outs to our sponsors, and then we'll get into some of the other heartbreaking moments of this game, unfortunately, for the Chicago Bears as they fall to the Washington Commanders on a miracle Hail Mary play. And I know there's a lot of Miller Lite being drank here tonight. I see one on the bar right now, and rightfully so.
Fine Pilsner.
After a game like that.
Fine Pilsner.
A lot's changed over the years. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it's less filling. So what is the best thing about original light beer? Well, Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975, and we still haven't settled it. So you can get all your, to me, it's all about great taste or less filling. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. Miller Lite is the official beer of the Chicago Bears. So You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/CHGO football, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than the premium regular beer. Go get yourself some Miller Lite.
Oh.
You like that? That's my beer vendor.
I like
You
that.
like that? That's good.
Does anyone need a Miller Lite on this up here?
I do not need
I
a
have
Miller.
a cup right here, a little Pilsner. I'm good.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a Pilsner, but I do.
So, another thing I want to give a shout out to is our guys over at ComEd. You know, ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient. And for those of you who don't know that, ComEd did that. The energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings. So business owners, what should they do? They should sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz. Why aren't business owners doing it more? Well, maybe they forgot the website. So here it is once again, comed.com/biz. That's comed.com/biz. And now you know. If you don't know,
Now you know.
Hey.
Terms and
Hello.
conditions. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. Hit yourself up with comed.com/biz. All right. Let's move on to the next point of order here for the Chicago Bears loss.
Yes.
Lance, where do you want to take this? Because there's so many places we can, from play calling, not getting out the gate fast enough for the offense. Once again, taking them 3 quarters to get going. Everybody's talking about the Doug Kramer run call on the offensive line. So let's just go there, because these are the highest emotional moments of the game. Yep. Doug Kramer, 3rd and 1. You're handing it off. You had the fridge. Now Doug Kramer's trying to be the freezer, and he fumbles it.
Yes.
And now you give the ball back to Washington in a pivotal moment in the game.
Briggs, which is the past tense of Briggs. Briggs. Okay. listen. You know what I learned when I retired from football. When I retired from football, I started doing all these DIY projects. You know, at home, I would look at it, Google it, and then I would start working on the project. Okay. And then, about 80% through the project, I realized I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. Okay. And so I call in a guy who really knows what he's doing. He'd come in, I'd watch, and then the next time I would probably try to do it myself. But now I have an idea.
Exactly.
Okay. But when I look at that play, Doug Kramer is not a running back. Correct. When's the last time we've seen them hand him the ball? How often is he taking handoffs?
Never.
All right. So his DIY project didn't work out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't work out, and so in that situation, why not hand the ball to the running back? You hand the ball to the big offensive lineman when you're up by 2, 3, 4 touchdowns.
Exactly. It's like a fun. We're having fun. It's a party. It's a party. Like, we're having a good time.
Game's on the line.
Exactly.
Give it to the guy that knows what he's doing.
Swift,
let him lead.
Roshan Johnson.
Yes.
Right. QB sneak in that situation.
Yes.
3rd down. You got 2 plays to get in there.
It's twice now. Shane Waldron on the goal line in Indianapolis, week 3.
Yep.
They do a speed option play. They don't get it in on 4 attempts. And then the speed option on 4th down, they lose 8 yards, was the dumbest play call I've ever seen as a Bears fan. And then somehow, and then all of a sudden he tops it this week with now this one is the dumbest play call. Why does Shane Waldron, Corey, why does he insist on being cute when you have a guy in Roshan Johnson who gave you the lead later in the game? It's staring you right in the face. He's continually showed that that's what his job is.
He tries to get too cute, and a lot of coordinators in this league, what do they try to do? Get too cute.
They get too cute.
I'm smart. I can outsmart the defense, and this coordinator. Hey, Dan Quinton's great, but I can outsmart him. Mm-hmm. In this situation, right, you take what the defense gives you, and in this situation, right, I was calling it out for 3 quarters. Run the football. Run the football. We're talking about it back and forth.
I love running the football, too.
I do. Because I think it sets up to, as a former defender, it keeps you off balance, right? If you're running the football, you're running it, and all of a sudden it's a war of attrition. You're like, oh, shoot, we got to be honest with this. And then all of a sudden you work the play action, it gets things going.
Everything works.
Exactly. But I think Shane Waldron tries to complicate things like a lot of offensive coordinators. And then when they get the running game going with Swift, all of a sudden in that fourth quarter, what happens? Caleb gets comfortable.
Yeah.
There's a common denominator there.
Because he's a big nerd, you know what I mean, doing nerd things like that. Listen, man, listen, it's analytics, man. It's all these analytics, and you think theoretically this should work, that should work, and then you get in a situation where you're like, hey, fellas, you know, we're gonna give it to the big boy. Exactly. You got 2 yards. All you got to do is lean into it.
Yeah.
All right. However, you know, you have very capable backs. Put the guy. I'm fine with you putting the lineman right there. Yeah. Let him lead the way and get your butts into the end zone. It's a critical situation. We need these points.
And speaking of backs, Khalil Herbert, right? Healthy scratch.
Yes.
Are you surprised about the lack of touches he's had this year? 2 years ago, he led the league in yards per carry.
He ran different.
Yeah.
He ran different.
Okay.
You know as well as I do when you look at Khalil Herbert a year ago. You know, he really 2 years ago, he was a bullet. He was a bullet every time he got the ball.
Hit the hole.
He hit the hole. You know what I mean? He turned stuff. He turned a 3-yard gain into a 15-yard gain. Exactly. He was turning, you know what I mean? He felt like every time he touched the ball, he got at least 8 to 10 yards.
Yeah.
You know, and he just doesn't look like that back.
Yeah.
You look at David Montgomery from those years. Khalil was actually in a position where we're like, man, he's more productive right now than Montgomery. Yeah. But you knew what Montgomery could do, and he's doing it with the Detroit Lions, even with a Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Shane Waldron did start to get in his feeling himself a little bit when he got the DeAndre Swift touchdown, right? They ran, you know, it was almost like a sweep where they had the lead blocker, Karan Amagaji, who got downfield, made a huge block that sprung DeAndre Swift all the way for the touchdown, and that was a great play call. They panned to the sidelines. You could see how proud of that play Shane Waldron was. But, man, stick to what you're doing good. And why go to Doug Kramer when you have these options in front of you? Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, those are the guys that got you down there. Yep. Reward them by letting them get the pay dirt and let Doug Kramer's day in the sun be for another day.
Don't get lax in your play calling either. You know, things are working. Okay, good. Things are working. You know, stay on the grind. Exactly. Like, stay on the grind. Don't be like, hey, man, let me dip into this one right here. We're going to like this one. No.
Exactly.
Stay on that grind.
Yep, exactly. It's the same thing we play defense. We were rocking, right? We stay with the same calls that we're doing, right? Let the front four get home.
Yes.
Let rush and cover. Let's do this and not try to overcomplicate things. And I think it's a common theme around the league. Offensive coordinators try to get too cute all the time. They try to out trick people and all this. Listen, what's working for you? Run those plays, right? Work some play action off it. Get your playmakers involved.
Yeah.
And Shane Waldron in this situation, I just feel like Caleb wasn't throwing the ball well.
It was not.
Right? Let's get to the running game. And I thought it took him 3 quarters to get the running game. I just didn't understand.
Yeah, you know what? You know what the other thing too right now is, guys, there's too much celebration. There's too much celebration. Defensively, you make a good play. All right, good. I might run up, give you a high five, double. All right, might tap you on the butt, say good job. Let's get back to it. All right, let's get back to it because we got to get back to the next play. If you make a good play, you got to come make another good play, and then another good play, and you got to keep stacking those. You know, and the same thing with Shane Waldron. All right, you call some good plays, and we get ourselves down the field. You know, just keep calling the good plays. Exactly. Don't get cute. Don't start dancing. That's what he was doing. He was up there dancing with his play sheet, and he picked the wrong play.
He was doing the Harlem Shake.
Yeah,
we got to chill out right now. All right.
He was going mad, B.
He was at a Diddy party, bro. No baby oil, baby.
None of that.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, when we talk about the offense taking so long to get going, I mean, Lovie Smith, one of the things he always said was we get off the bus running the football.
Yeah.
And this team isn't getting off the bus until the third quarter. Every game, there's non-existent on the first drive. They're non-existent in the first quarter, non-existent in the first half, consistently leaning on their defense to hold on for dear life until the team finally wakes up in the second half. They aren't throwing the first punch They're continuing to have to adjust after getting hit in the mouth.
There's one word. Comes down to identity. There is no identity on this offense, right? We've seen a mixed bag across the board, right?
Yeah.
We saw some lesser opponents, something we talked about when we're watching this game.
Yes.
And you were big on that.
And when we were doing that, we were running the ball.
Exactly.
We were running the ball. We were committed to running the ball.
That was the identity of the team.
Right.
Right. We're going to run the football, and then we're going to work everything off that. But today, what we saw was, hey, let's pass the ball. Let's pass the ball some more. Hey, it's not working. Let's pass the ball some more. And then finally in the fourth quarter, hey, let's run the ball. Swift gets in.
Ideally, I'm thinking, I'm trying to think like a offensive coordinator here. Yep. On those situations where in the first half into that third quarter where you're calling those pass plays, it's like, all right, Caleb, you have these weapons. You have these weapons, all right? Whether they're covered or not, pick a weapon and let him go. Let him compete. All right, you have these guys. You have these three really good elite type receivers. You drafted one in the first round. The other two have proven.
Yep.
So, are you really ever in a bad situation when you come into a pass? And he's holding the ball extremely long. He was holding the ball long, and to me caused some of the sacks that were that the Bears end up having. But to me, if you have these weapons, throw the ball up. I bet you're gonna win at least 7 out of 10.
50-50 balls.
Right, they're 50-50.
And let's look at somebody dangerous. Russell Wilson, right? Came back his first game of the season.
Yep.
And listen, Pittsburgh doesn't have the weapons that the Bears do.
They do not.
George Pickens, in my opinion, he's the number 2.
Right.
Playing number 1. Mm-hmm. But what did Dangerous do in that second quarter, third quarter? He put the ball.
Gonna put it up.
Exactly.
He
said, hey, I'm going to let George Pickens make a play.
Yeah.
I'm going to make some of these guys make a play. And Caleb has weapons. We look at DJ Moore, right?
Yeah.
Rome Dunze has been doing this thing. Keenan Allen.
3-6-4.
And Keenan Allen's been a force in this league for a while.
Yes, you put the ball near him, he's going to catch you.
You have 3 really good playmakers, right? Let them make those 50-50 balls.
You got to Cole Kmet.
Exactly. Cole Kmet as well. So they have so many different options. Swift at the running back, Roshan Johnson. We can go on and on.
Yes.
Right? There's so many different options. You got to give them the ball to let them make a chance to get that.
100%. Before we take a break, I want to cue up this Tyreek Stevenson tweet. It sounds like he may have addressed this moment here as there's a little bit of delay on the screen. So I just want to wait till it pulls up for me.
He did it, man.
Tyreek Stevenson standing up and owning what happened. He said, to Chicago and teammates, my apologies for lack of awareness and focus. The game ain't over until zeros hit the clock. Can't take anything for granted. Notes taken. Improvement will happen. Bear down. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of fans that continue to attack him, but at the end of the day, he took accountability. He owned it. He stepped up to everyone and said, this is on me. There's a lot more to this game that is the reason they lost. But at the end of the day, all you can do is take accountability for yourself, and he did that right there. I want to take a quick timeout, and then I think me and Lance are going to wrap up, and we're going to let you get on the road and get to the airport because I know you got to do a little bit of travel, but I do want to get into a couple more things before we officially call it a night. I know it's getting late here at Almost Home, and we appreciate everybody hanging out here. We appreciate every single one of you, but I want to give a shout-out to CHSN. We will see you, Corey. I'll see you in Arizona. We'll see you in Arizona. We'll see you in Arizona, punk. Better bring your golf clubs.
Chill out,
boy. Bring that big robot.
You better chill out. We about to go dumb in here.
Oh man! So thank you to Corey Wooten as always, killing it. Corey Wooten, ladies and gentlemen. All right. All right. So once again, I just want to give a quick shout out to our guys over at CHSN, proud sponsored by the Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core, and they're bringing it to every corner of this great city of Chicago across our 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and White Sox games all season long. Well, that's kind of where I wanted to go. You guys were kind of keying it up there with talking about Caleb Williams before the break. And so much in our post-game show, we talked about the Hail Mary. We talked about Doug Kramer. We talked about Shane Waldron. But every week we talk about Caleb Williams.
We sure do.
Need to talk about number one pick. We got to talk about Caleb Williams tonight because at the end of the day, Jayden Williams showed up for this game. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play because he was hurt. I give that dude a ton of credit.
Yeah.
He showed a ton of toughness. Hail Mary, luck or not, throws 65 yards in the air with obviously his ribs and cartilage still bothering him even throughout the game.
Ran a ton,
created
with his feet,
making nightmares for the Bears defense, and the Bears defense did everything they could to hold on for dear life against a potent offense in Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury calling plays. So I give Jayden Daniels a ton of credit, and maybe this is the start of Jayden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, and Jayden gets the first laugh. There's going to be many more matchups between these two quarterbacks for years to come. But Caleb Williams, Lance, we talk about him all the time. What was your assessment of his game? Because at the start, there was a lot of struggles. We're still seeing a lot of deep ball inaccuracy. But then as the game went on, specifically in the fourth quarter, it seemed like Caleb Williams started to settle in. So in its totality, what's your assessment of the number one pick, Caleb Williams?
My assessment is that it was not a. I was really coming onto the show to really go in on Caleb. However, there is a silver lining in this whole deal, and there's a glimmer of real certain hope, and that glimmer came in the fourth quarter when him driving down and putting points on the board and give us a chance to win
twice.
That's important. That's huge. Because you go this whole game, and listen, those inaccuracies have been happening since game one. All right. The standard that I have for Caleb being the number one pick, your decisions don't always have to be correct, but what I'm looking for from the number one pick is pinpoint accuracy. When you know where you're supposed to be throwing the ball, I want to see the football thrown in areas that number one picks are able to throw it to.
Catchable balls. You have these great receivers and tight ends. Give them a chance to make a play on the football. And I'm seeing it. I've seen it consistently enough that it is a concern. Okay. Will he get better? Yes, I'm sure he's going to get better because he has to, but he's not where he needs to be right now. And because of those throws, we end up in a situation where we lose on a Hail Mary. If Caleb completes those balls, or at least has it where we can blame it on the receiver. The problem is that a lot of these throws, we're not able to blame it on the receiver because it's not catchable. Right.
Okay. If we're able to blame it on the receiver, then the blame shifts over to someone else. The responsibility shifts over to someone else. But the balls aren't catchable, so Caleb has to give his playmakers or weapons, whatever you want to say, a chance. And if he gives them a chance, I believe that this score doesn't come down to a Hail Mary. We're not talking about Tariq Stevenson. Okay, we're talking about a team where we're up 10 points. We win by 10 points at least.
And you know what, Lance? At the end of the day, I know a lot of fans are going to be protective of Caleb Williams as the number one pick in his rookie year, and there's going to be a lot of excuses that can be fair to levy on a guy like that. But we don't have to treat Caleb Williams with kid gloves. He can handle it, and I'm sure he thinks he should have played a much better game beyond all the other different things, all the different factors you take into place, whether it's a play call or the O-line breakdown or the injuries to the O-line and all the different factors that go into it. At the end of the day, Caleb Williams has to continue to elevate his game. He was doing so great before the bye, 4 touchdowns in London, and now you come out after the bye, and it takes you 3 quarters of football to get your momentum in the right direction.
Braggs, here, you know what? Let me just put this in perspective. From Lance Briggs' lens. Okay, the reality of Caleb coming in as the number 1 pick. What should have happened is he should have come in and be able to learn from a veteran quarterback that's starting for the Bears right now. All right. You shouldn't have to be thrown right now, immediately into the fire. And so where we have to curb the way that we
our
expectations of him. Okay. In the older days, quarterbacks were able to come in, number 1 picks were able to come in and learn from older guys. Right now, he hasn't had a good last few weeks, but Sam Darnold is playing much better because of the guys that he's played behind in his travels. He came out this year really smoking, and he's had his troubles, but he's playing a lot better football now than he was when he first came out.
Right. And, I think in an ideal world, and the Green Bay Packers have shown this template of letting a great quarterbacks, plural, sit and wait and watch and jump in.
Yes.
Obviously, Caleb Williams isn't going to have that happen. It's over. It's in the rearview mirror. You see a guy like Jayden Daniels in his rookie year flourishing, but they have the backbone of a really good play caller who's in his bag right now in Cliff Kingsbury, but more importantly, a much better offensive line than the Chicago Bears are putting out there week to week. It's different names on that line every single week. They've started to figure out what they can do well, but every week it's a carousel of who's out there and what plays they want to run. To Corey's point, they've still yet to find their identity, and you come out in this game and Caleb Williams is clearly amped up to start the game. He had some throws that were just way too much sauce on him and thrown behind, and his accuracy, they could not get any momentum offensively going. And Caleb's excitement as a rookie who's in this big game in his hometown, I think plays a big part in that. So at the end of the day, he's got to figure out how to calm himself and center himself like he does at the end of games.
This is your job. You are a quarterback, right? Now, if I'm the coach or the head coach or the quarterback's coach, and I come out and I say, and I hear, hey, he's a little amped up. He's throwing this one. It was a little off. All right. Don't let it be a little off. All right. It is your job to get the ball to the receivers. All right. It is my job to coach you. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh man, you're a little amped up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's your job. This is we drafted you for this reason.
Yep.
We saw what you could do, and everybody comes around and they say, hey, this guy makes amazing throws. So make a doggone amazing throw on play 1, make it on play 2, make it on play 3. All right. If they get sacked, we get sacked. Use your feet, do whatever you got to do, but show me the amazing throws.
Right.
Consistently.
It's consistency. You nailed it at the end, because at the end of the game, he was making some amazing throws across his body, scrambled into the outside and hits Keenan Allen. And everybody's like, where did that come from? The sidearm throw that where the receiver almost rolls into the end zone. And that arm angle was spectacular. The dime ball to DJ Moore in between the cover 2 window. And that was under pressure as he's getting hit. Those are spectacular superstar-esque throws, but you need them in the first quarter, not just in the fourth.
So he did that in the pressure situation, okay? And yes, it was at the end of the game. Did that in a pressure situation, the critical situation. So it leaves me, as if I'm his coach, it leads me to believe, okay, when the game was on the line and everybody really was turning to you to say, hey, we need this. You delivered.
Right.
All right. You need to treat that first quarter like you treated the fourth.
Yep.
All right. You need to treat the second quarter like you treated the fourth.
Yep.
The third like you treated the fourth. Every throw that you make has to be a critical situation.
No question.
Because you're capable. Number one, you're capable. And number two, it changes the outcome of the game.
Yep.
It changes the complete outcome of the game if you treat every throw like it's critical, because we've seen you do it.
Yep, and the other end of that equation, because you can't really control the offensive line injuries. They are trying to find some continuity, but every time a guy gets injured, you got to reset that chemistry and continuity. Yeah, he definitely had time. And even a guy like Karan Amagaji, who got left on an island a few times, third-round pick out of Yale, who's been injured for most of the year, comes in, made some mistakes, but also had the key block that sprung DeAndre Swift. And, all things considered, nobody should be bagging on Karan Amagaji for jumping into the fire and trying to do what he can do to play left tackle. But the other end of the equation is Shane Waldron as a play caller and understanding who your personnel is and where they are at in their career or as a team and a unit right now. So in the start of the game, if your quarterback needs to settle in and build momentum, you've got to be able to call plays to make that happen. And when you get to the end of the game and he is in his groove, you can't hand the ball to Doug Kramer. Caleb Williams got you to the 1 yard line. Now pound it in with guys you know can get the job done. So Shane Waldron is just as responsible as Caleb Williams is to get this offense going in the first quarter, on the first drive, in the first half. It is taking way too long for this team, and it's putting them behind the 8 ball week in and week out. The Titans and Will Levis might give you the game, but Jayden Daniels and the Commanders and Dan Quinn just took it from you.
No, sorry, Bob.
So, you know, I agree with you, though, where you started this. There is a silver lining with the way Caleb Williams finished. He showed a ton of moxie, and there is hope. I think it's clear as day. We got a quarterback, and now it's about consistency.
You got to start fast. You have to start consistent, and you need to be consistent throughout the game. These games, this game or the games even in the past that he's been in, they don't have to be so doggone close. They don't have to.
Right.
It's just the same reason, like the defense, you don't have to give up 20 points or 17 points.
Yep.
All right. It's that is a trend. That is a trend that is built by the fan base, by the outside looking in. It's saying that these are the numbers that are happening. And so, you know, offenses are scoring X amount of points. So defenses, you know, you need to expect to give up X amount of points. That is not the truth. And the same goes for offense. You know, just because you average, you know, give scoring 17, 18, 19 points doesn't mean that you shouldn't be out there scoring 35 points.
Right.
The team is capable. There are plays that are out there in the game. He's just missing these throws.
Yep.
And that's, you know, that's uncharacteristic, in my opinion, of a number 1 pick. And if Alex Brown was here right here, he would agree with me.
Every single word.
Every word.
Every single word. And if he doesn't, then Corey Wooten is taking his place on the defensive line. We're going to let him know. Hey, we want to once again thank everybody here at Almost Home. I want everybody here in the chat to hit the like button for Lance Briggs hanging out here late night for a tough finish. I want to give a quick reminder to everybody to make sure you become a diehard. Now is as good a time as ever to become one. We're building the biggest and best community of Chicago sports fans, and we want you to be a part of it, so much so that we're giving you a special offer with our lowest rate ever. Become a CHGO Sports Diehard today for just $4 a month, billed annually. That's right, just $48 a year gets you a free t-shirt, access to our exclusive written content from Hogue and Nick Moriano and Mark Carmen, plenty of discussions and access to our CHGO Sports Discord lounge where we all hang out and talk sports about all the teams here in the city, not just the Chicago Bears. This is a limited time offer, so act now. Go to chgosports.com/intro to sign up today. So yeah, Lance, my final thing I want to ask you about, we talked about the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
We talked about Doug Kramer. We talked about Caleb Williams. We talked about Shane Waldron. But you're a linebacker.
Yes, I am.
And I always want to hear a damn good one, Lance Briggs. One of the best to ever do it, to put on that Chicago Bears uniform. And it is to gas you up while Alex is not here. It is an honor to sit next to you and talk Chicago Bears football with you every single week here at CHGO Bears. But speaking of the defense, and
shout out to Crystal. Bye,
shout out to Crystal. We'll see you later, Crystal.
See you.
Speaking of the defense, and you always talk about the elite status that Lovey used to hold you guys to, the standard. These are the benchmarks you guys have to hit as a defense if you want to consider yourself elite. The defense played unbelievable today. Bend but don't break. You know all about that philosophy, and they held that to a T here tonight against Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Obviously, let it out the back door for the final Hail Mary. But I am curious to ask you about, because I know I'm anticipating your mindset about greatness.
Okay.
And the Washington Commanders, while they didn't get sevens, they were moving the ball a ton.
Yeah.
and then the Bears would hold on for dear life in the red zone. There was some really long drives. The time of possession ended up being a lot more even than I thought it would be because of the way the Bears played in the fourth quarter. But the Bears did have trouble getting off the football field against Jayden Daniels. A tough task against this Washington Commanders offense. But I want to know what your mindset and mentality is as a defensive player in that locker room tomorrow about holding up your end of the bargain of expecting greatness from a really great unit with Matt Eberflus's defense.
Well, I'd say this, you always shoot for the stars, and sometimes you'll find yourself in the sky, and so, you'll have games like this. It doesn't change the standard, the standard, for guys that have that standard, you'll look up, in the second quarter, see how many rush yards you have, how many pass yards they have. You'll look up in the third quarter, and you'll see. I looking at the second quarter, and I say, okay, shoot, they only have 39 rushing yards. We're good. When I look up and I say, oh shoot, they have 99 rush yards. It's going to be tough.
481 total yards on the day for Washington, 313 passing, 168 yards on the ground on a 6.7 yards per play for Washington.
And a lot of that was created from Jayden Daniels creating more with his feet.
Yep.
I know he has some rib injuries.
Yep.
I thought we played very nicely, in handling a quarterback that had some injuries, that we weren't rough in a very violent game. But to each their own, we should be really flying around. And if the quarterback's going to run, he becomes a running back. Running backs are live. Okay. Yep. But with all that being said, and the mistakes that did happen, and the yards that were given up when it mattered the most in that red zone, they kept them. They either held them to 3 or they kept them out of the end zone completely.
Yep,
that speaks volumes on this unit, and at least giving this team a chance, or giving the offense another chance to say, okay, we're going to put the ball on the we're going to put the ball in the end zone. The one thing that I would say defensively is, if you find yourself on that field and the point score is low, whatever it is, I don't care what the point score is, and you have a team that's driving on you, or you have a team that's having some success, take the ball away. Not only take the ball away, but find a way to get yourselves in the end zone and win the damn game yourselves.
Right. I mean, no turnovers forced by the Chicago Bears in this game. No turnovers for both teams, right? I mean, if I'm correct. Oh, no, there was by Doug Kramer. But Caleb Williams stayed turnover free, which is important at the quarterback position, but no turnovers for Washington, who they haven't turned the ball over much this entire season. So when you talk about that consistency that you're looking for the Bears offense, that's exactly what Washington, and that's what puts them in a position to end up with the crazy moment at the end of the game. Let's get to some super chats, Lawrence, as we start to round third here on this Briggs and Braggs post-game show.
Woo!
Let's go, Boogie.
Sounds so much better than Briggs and Brown.
Yeah, that's right. The Briggs and Braggs post-game show. Sorry, Alex Brown. Mark C.
We're not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, AB. Got to be here to
celebrate. Yes,
you want to steer, you got to be here
with a Miller Lite beer.
That's right. Mark C. 999 super chat. Knock the ball down. The show is excellent. We appreciate you, Mark C. Got a couple more super chats in here. We're gonna keep rolling them along. We'll answer any questions that you got. A little bit of a delay. That's okay. No pain. $2 super chat. Kari Blasingame is somewhere smiling. I don't know about that. I think Kari holds a close bond to the teammates in that locker room. I doubt he's smiling.
Cole Kmet's still there.
Yeah, I'm Twan too. $5 super chat. 18 needs to become a more accurate passer. Still taking too many sacks. Seems like he needs to get DJ and Keenan the ball earlier in the game. And so at the end of the day, we're going to find out, Antoine, if he's, seeing the field. The all-22 will tell the tape.
And find a rhythm with a receiver that you can build that trust with, where you can just throw it up. You remember when Rome Odunze was at Washington, Penix would throw the ball up. As soon as he saw a man-to-man cover, he would just throw it up.
Yep.
Or even if it wasn't, he'd throw the ball up and let Odunze go get it.
Yep, no question about it. Tony Rome, don't call him Tony Romo, $9.99 super chat. Lance, can you explain the reason for going into a prevent when you've held all game long? He's referring to the final drive by the Washington Commanders.
The reason for the prevent, toward the ends of games is because you want to prevent the big play. All right, you want to make sure that
don't let anything get behind you.
And then situationally, you want to look at what time you have left, okay, and what the score is. Are they down by 3 or less? Are you up 2 scores? Are you up a score? That dictates what kind of prevent defense you want to be in. How many timeouts do they have? Or do you have to protect the sidelines, keep them kind of bait them into throwing the ball in the middle of the field, because we're going to protect the outsides and give them the inside, and we'll break up and get them down and keep the clock running. So it's all based off of situations. So it's all about situations. You always have these situations during the week. We're playing prevent defense. We're going to back up a little bit. We're going to allow them to throw the ball short, and we'll break up and we'll get them down. Make them go a chunk all the way to the end zone. Let's say if they take the ball at the 20 or 25, make them drive all the way down. And with every opportunity that they snap the ball, gives us another opportunity to take the ball away.
No question about it. Lance, and what's the hardest loss that, like, when somebody asks you what's the hardest loss outside of the Super Bowl, obviously, like I'm more talking context of crazy moment happening against you. What are the first couple games that come to your mind?
First couple games that come to my mind is, I think Corey was talking about that. It might have been the 2011 season, maybe, where Cutler goes down. We're leading the NFC. We're in first place in the NFC, and if playoffs had started that week when Cutler goes down, we get home field advantage throughout, and we win the NFC completely. We play the 4 AFC teams. All right, we beat San Diego. He got hurt in that game. We played the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, and we end up losing to all of them. We end up losing all of another Chargers. Tebow. Yeah,
the Broncos.
We got Broncos. We get Tebow.
Oh my God.
Okay, that was a year that we were very confident in the unit that we had.
Yep.
We lost our quarterback, and it's still no excuse. We still should have won those games. It was some of the lowest scoring games that we lost,
right,
ever. And
that Broncos game against Tebow, because that was the peak of Tebow mania.
Was the peak of it,
and you were in the middle of it.
Oh Lord, right? So I got Tebow, and the crazy thing is, had we won one more game, we at least get into the playoffs, and we get Cutler back for the playoffs, and so it was one of those deals where we saw our playoff hopes dwindle, where we're like, okay, well, we're not in first, we're in second in the NFC. Well, we're in third, right, until it comes down to our last few games, but that was hurtful.
So when you talk about bouncing back, there was a moment in the year you guys went to the Super Bowl, right, where everything was going great. You guys were undefeated, like 8 straight games. That Arizona game let them off the hook, right? Mm-hmm. But then as the season went on, the war of attrition starts to set in, and you got to reset your mind. So if you're, as a leader in that locker room, and you're going into tomorrow, this season isn't over. It feels like double doink right now, but double doink was to end the year. You now have a chance to go to Arizona. You got New England at home here in a couple games before you start playing divisional opponents. And you have a chance to get yourself a few wins here before the big time games start to really hit. They're all big at this point. Today was a big game. Next week's a big game. But what is your message in the locker room to try to reset the mindset after a demoralizing loss like this?
Well, look, there's a ton of positive things to take away from this game. We were in position to win it. And from offensively, we were ineffective for quarters for at least a half's worth of the game. And defensively, we continue to we gave our team a chance. Our offense was able to lean on our defense. There's been times where our defense has been able to lean on our offense. When we get to the game where they can all lean on each other, and add special teams into that as well.
Your boy, Torrey Taylor, nice game today.
Right. 4th round pick. Big guy. Time. Right. And when we can lean on each other, that's when we will find ourselves on the W end of these games, at the end of these games. So there's plenty, and the other thing, listen, when we get to Saturday and Sunday morning of the games, we know exactly everything that we need to know about our opponent. It's more important that we go into there, we look at our tips or our reminders or our tests or whatever it is that we look at, and we're able to ace that mentally. I can look at the paper and I can say, I know everything this team's going to do. When we do that, and I know that everybody has done that, I know that we're ready. Like, we're ready. I don't have to be tense. I don't have to be like, oh, I don't know what they're going to do. No, you're ready because you know exactly what they're going to do. You know exactly what the formation, you know what all your alerts are. You know how to play fast and physical and play smart.
Jayden Daniels obviously gave the Bears defense fits, getting out of the pocket, had over 50 rushing yards on the game. You go into next week playing a guy that does a lot of the same things in Kyler Murray. I'm thinking of a moment in the game tonight where TJ Edwards is one-on-one on an island on the outside with Jayden Daniels coming at him, and he shook him out of his shoes. TJ didn't even touch him. TJ's a great player.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've been on an ISO moment and on an island like that as well. It's not an easy way to make a play, but now you have a chance here against Kyler Murray. What adjustments can you make to try to contain the quarterback as best you can when they have that kind of ability?
Short quarterbacks, you want to keep them in the pocket, make them throw from the pocket. It's a lot more difficult for them to sit back, step up, and make those throws. All right, those guys, you want to move the pocket, or they'll take a deeper drop so that they have more vision. Because a lot of times their offensive linemen are 6'3", 6'4" all the way around. So one of the things that I know we always used to notice when Russell Wilson was playing with the Seahawks is a lot of times he would waggle out, just so that he can get better vision. The most of his drops or the drop percentage would rise when he would throw from the pocket. So I think being disciplined and making sure that we contain those lanes, force Kyler Murray to throw from the pocket. Don't let him beat you with his feet.
What do you think about, because we saw this a few times implemented by Matt Eberflus, that wide 9 where they're taking Montez Sweat and he's way out there on the defensive line trying to get a far angle and to hold containment on a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, but then Jayden has that ability to step up in the pocket and there's that hole between the tackle and the guard where he can spill out that way. So
there's consequences to everything you do, Braggs.
Right
now. Listen, I run a wide 9 with my 9U right now. Okay, I run a wide 9 with my DNs and my 9U football team, the Thundering Herd, because when I widen them, it helps allow me to set edges. And a lot of teams want to get around, get to the outside, so they rush up the field. We can have a better opportunity of seeing these sweeps and set edges. At the NFL level, you run a wide 9, there's going to be consequences to it. It might help you with the pass rush or outside pass rush, but there's going to be a wider lane for the quarterback to find. And if you have a guy like Jayden Daniels who likes to move with his feet or create with his feet, you now have created a bigger lane for him to visually see.
Well, that's where they got to send El Boogie through that gap, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you get to wide him out, but then send that linebacker through there.
There's 11 players on both sides, Bragg.
Yes, sir.
So if you send me, there's another guy that's back here that might be open.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're getting ready to wrap things up here shortly. It's absolutely a pick your poison. So we'll see if Matt Eberflus can pick it right here next Sunday in Arizona.
Yeah.
And we are going to be in Arizona, your home state, sir.
I'll be in Arizona.
You'll be there. You'll be waiting on us to get to you.
Can we get Alex's ass out there?
We'll get Alex's ass out there for sure. And as I was mentioning earlier, now is as good a time as ever to become a diehard. And when you do, you can get a discount on events like the one where we're going to Arizona, compliments of our guys over at truefantravel.com.
Good time to be out
it's
there, too.
already been selling like hotcakes. Tickets to the game are gone, but we have a bunch of events. We have a welcome party Saturday night that you can come to. We have tailgate before the game with a live pregame show and a live postgame show after the game at a bar called
brisket.
At a bar called Salt in the entertainment district, which is literally walking distance from the stadium in Glendale. It's an awesome scene. I was there for the Final Four, watching my Purdue Boilermakers get to the national championship. Fell a little short, but still a great season for them. So go to truefantravel.com and make sure you sign up for any of these events. And we got a golf outing Saturday morning when we get there next week as well.
I was going to ask, is there tickets to the golf outing with you and Steven that's making me do work the next week? Or?
You know what? No. We're not necessarily selling tickets
Just checking.
We pulled the okey doke on Lawrence. Everybody's going back on Monday. And me and Steven are sticking back in good old Arizona.
Yes.
We're going to hit the links, baby.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
Yes, and we appreciate you, Lawrence.
One last super.
Yes, we got one last super, and we can't thank Lawrence Benedetto enough for being here late at Almost Home. And all you fine people here at Almost Home, shout out to all of them.
Mr. Potato Head's a little weird.
No, I almost let Mr. Potato Head take my spot on the post-game show earlier because I am beside myself from this game.
You're such a spud.
No, I can't.
You're such a spud.
What does that mean? What does spud mean?
A spud.
A spud.
What does that mean?
It's like a baked potato.
I'm a baked potato. Okay. Jason Lassiter, final super chat. He's asking you a question here. $4.99 super chat. Lance, why is the coaching staff still struggling to establish an identity for our offense?
Well, I thought we were on our way, over the last couple of weeks, especially the way we were running the ball, in those against Carolina, against Jacksonville. The thing about it is, how are we going to perform against the good teams? The last time we performed against the top tier teams, we didn't fare well.
Right.
We're trying to figure out what linemen we're going to have, and it's just like jailbreak, and we're worried about the health of our quarterback.
Yep.
So it starts with, number one, with consistency. You have to consistently commit to running the ball. This is Chicago, so running the ball, it's not new to anybody here, and the cute stuff is new to everybody here, and it's actually uncomfortable watching because it's ineffective. So
the cuteness is making you uncomfortable.
That makes me uncomfortable. We
need some big uglies going on here.
Without a doubt. You're talking game of football. The word cute should not be synonymous with it. All right. You know what I mean?
Time to get nasty.
You're right. In my Chicago,
it's
time to get nasty.
It's Mr. Nasty
Mr.
time.
Nasty. Here we go.
Mr. Nasty time. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm glad we can laugh after a day that probably about made me break down and cry on our first post-game show. But at this point, I'm completely delirious to what just happened. But that's what it's like here in the National Football League. And all you can do is pick yourself off the mat and win a goddamn football game next Sunday.
Damn right, Briggs. Damn right.
Well, I want to thank you to Lance Briggs for sticking it out here late night here at Almost Home. Shout out to 55 L Boogie.
Shout out to Alex Brown, who couldn't be here, but I know you agree with everything I said today. My guy.
We'll be back tomorrow with Mark Carmen, of course, at our 1 p.m. show, 1 p.m. Central. Of course, Lance, you'll be bringing your professor. The professor will be in
here.
The house.
Think about those grades. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Torrey Taylor.
Nobody's getting an A. I can tell you that right now.
Torrey Taylor, your 4th-round pick, should be getting an A, man.
He's one of 11.
Okay.
I haven't talked to the professor, but my guess is there's going to be no A's.
Yes. He's a hard grader, that Professor Briggs. So make sure you tune in to CHGO Bears as we do all week long, 1 p.m. Central. Professor Briggs, Mark Carmen, Alex Brown, Herb Howard should be back as well. Yes. I know he was on the road in Washington. We'll be having shows all week long as we do here at CHGO Bears all year long. So make sure you subscribe to the channel here
Please
at CHGO Sports and hit that like button while you're hanging out with us. And we appreciate everybody in the chat hanging out with us for both post-game shows here tonight. Pick yourself off the map, Bears fans. Better days ahead. Lance, why don't you send us off?
My guys, we'll see you.
We all silly like the mayor.